Moderato Cantabile is a 1958 romance novel that marked a significant milestone in the career of its author, French writer Marguerite Duras, establishing her as both a critical and popular success. The title, written in French, is derived from musical notation on sheet music, roughly translating to moderately and singingly. The story revolves around Anne Desbaresdes, the wife of a wealthy industrialist whose life takes an unexpected turn after she witnesses a violent crime. At the start of the novel, Anne leads a monotonous life, defined by her distant relationship with her wealthy husband and her role as a mother to their child, whose name is never mentioned. Her interactions with the outside world are limited to accompanying her child to piano lessons with Mademoiselle Giraud, held in a less affluent part of town. One day, during a lesson, Anne hears a terrifying scream from a nearby café. Upon investigating, she finds a woman who has been fatally shot, bleeding in her husband's arms. The husband is arrested and charged with shooting his wife, supposedly at her own request. Intrigued by the intense emotions that must have driven such a tragic act, emotions she finds lacking in her own life, Anne returns to the café the following day during her child's piano lesson. There, she encounters Chauvin, an unemployed man who once worked for her husband. Despite the social gulf between them, Anne and Chauvin engage in conversation, and he spins a vivid, speculative tale about the dead couple. Anne is captivated, feeling drawn away from her safe but dull life and toward the thrilling and perilous fringes of society. The next few chapters follow Anne as she returns to the café each day to meet Chauvin. Although her actions could cause a scandal among her husband's social circle, she is undeterred, even as their meetings become the subject of gossip. As the days pass, both Anne and Chauvin find themselves wanting to deepen their relationship, driven not by sexual desire, but by a shared thrill in defying societal expectations. The 5th, 6th, and 7th chapters focus on the 6th day of their meetings. The day culminates in a dinner party at Anne's home, where she arrives late, only to realize that her husband and his colleagues have become aware of her daily encounters with Chauvin. Anne reacts to the situation by drinking heavily until her husband sends her upstairs, where she vomits and falls asleep in her child's bedroom. Meanwhile, Chauvin waits outside Anne's house, hoping to catch a glimpse of her, but they do not meet. In the final chapter, Anne arrives alone in the working-class neighborhood. She has been kicked out of her house by her husband and seems to have lost the right to see her child. When she speaks with Chauvin, their conversation is much colder and more distant than before. This shift might be because Anne is now separated from her husband, and any sexual activity between her and Chauvin is no longer forbidden, and therefore no longer thrilling. For the first time, Anne and Chauvin touch hands, but there is little emotion from either of them. Hoping to ignite some spark, they kiss and embrace, but this too leaves them feeling empty. Anne stands up without saying another word and leaves, while Chauvin's expression remains unreadable. Moderato Cantabile is a novel with minimal plot but rich in symbolism. The magnolia blossom frequently mentioned in the story symbolizes Anne's sexuality. Chauvin recalls seeing a magnolia Anne once wore over her partially exposed chest at a reception when he was still working for Mr. Desbaresdes. Later, Anne closes a window because the magnolia scent from outside is too strong, a scene that reflects her deliberate suppression of her sexual urges to maintain her social and familial standing. Additionally, a motorboat that is often seen passing by an open window represents freedom, according to many Duras scholars. The fact that the motorboat can be seen but not reached underscores the idea that freedom is a universal desire, yet often elusive and unattainable. This theme is reinforced when Anne and Chauvin, finally free to consummate their relationship, find themselves deeply dissatisfied with their physical connection. More experimental than Duras's earlier works, Moderato Cantabile is praised by critics and cherished by readers for its stark and realistic portrayal of human relationships. The novel's austerity is only disrupted during the dinner party scene, where Mr. Desbaresdes' guests comically and greedily devour the abundant food before them. This gluttony can also be seen as a metaphor for human freedom, making it significant that Anne does not partake in the meal. In this way, Moderato Cantabile tells the story of a woman who appears to long for freedom, but more accurately, revels in the act of desire itself. When Anne finally moves to satisfy that desire, she finds that it extinguishes the very quality that made it so intoxicating to her in the first place. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.